How's it? We are live now, Thursday, March the 9th. Anybody can watch the live show, but only YouTube Premium members can comment. I think that's what we're going to do for today. We'll see what happens. Hope you guys do. I'll have the games ready that you want me to research. I'll be on for about 20 plus minutes or so. Yeah, I'll be on for 20 plus minutes or so, and we'll talk about whatever games that you guys want to talk about. Let me put here that anyone can watch the live show, but only YouTube Premium members can comment. We'll see how it works today. We'll be on live for 20 plus minutes and talk about whatever games you want to talk about. All right. So the first game that I know and ask questions and choose which games we are to talk about. It is a recorded podcast, so you can re-listen to it at any time. All right, sounds good. All right, so we are live now. Go ahead and shoot me the games you want to talk about. Again, anyone can watch the live show, but only YouTube Premium members can ask us games and talk about what games. I think this is a kind of a fair middle ground. So, hey, Chanel, good to see you. Good morning. What do you think about the Iowa State and Baylor game? Sure. So let me move over there. Iowa State and Baylor. This game goes off at 12:30, right off the bat. This game goes off. Baylor's a 4.5-point chalk. Baylor won by, Iowa State won by 15 points last time, and they won by 15 points the time before, too. So they won back-to-back games coming in. So Baylor is the one that has the revenge. 18-12 and 22-9. Baylor has the revenge as a 4.5-point chalk. I'm a little surprised that it's not a larger chalk. Baylor's the number 10th ranked team in the country, and they're only laying 4.5 points. It's a little bit of a surprise, right? I would think so. Line opened up at 134.5, and as far as, let's see, Baylor comes into this game. Baylor comes into this game having lost to Iowa State. They just lost to them 58-73, so they have immediate revenge. They typically don't lose back-to-back games very often, except to Kansas and Kansas State. Iowa State comes into this game kind of being a bubble team. They're 18-12. They desperately need this game. They just beat Baylor. Iowa State is known for their strong defensive skills. They held Baylor to 58 points in their last game. Baylor has to bounce back. What does Baylor do? They're one of the top offensive teams. The last time these two teams faced each other, Baylor was held to 22 points in the first half, and they shot, the free throw margin was 18. I actually think this game probably goes over simply because I think Iowa State can be an active dog, but there's no way Baylor gets held to 22 points in the first half again as well. So I don't want to give a total typically on my premium selections, but right now, game number one, Baylor versus Iowa State, lean on the over. The last time they met, Baylor only put up 22 points in the first half. I can't imagine that happens again. Plus, Iowa State is only a 4-point dog to the number 10 team in the nation, which makes me think they can be an active underdog as well. And therefore, like the over here. All right. The over is 19. The over is 5-1 for Baylor coming off a straight up loss. That's what I like. For Baylor coming off a straight up loss. There you go. Game number 2. Hope that helps, Chanel. Hey, Ronald, good to see you. The Michigan game. So the Michigan game, again, that goes off at 12. You guys like all the early action, you degenerates. All of you degenerates. It's okay. I'm a degenerate too. So 132.5 on a total of 50 to 50 here. Uh, Rutgers is a 2.5 point dog. Michigan is a 2.5 point chalk. 132 and a half. The last time these two teams met each other, Michigan was a 13 point won by 13 points on a total of 135. This total comes out at 132, much lower. But Rutgers is 18 and 13, and Michigan is 17 and 14. Rutgers is feisty good, and they're not going to play as bad as they did last time. Um, Rutgers has lost back-to-back games coming in. They only beat Penn State and Wisconsin. They lost to Minnesota. They lost Northwestern. They have not played well lately. Again, they lost 58-45 to Michigan last time. It was a really bad game. Michigan comes off back-to-back losses to both Illinois and Indiana. Really surprised we're only 2.5 point favorites here. The last time it was, I can't go with either side because Rutgers is a desperate team, and at the same time, Michigan, rolls in as coming off back-to-back losses. I do like the over though. I think the last time these two teams met, I think it was, Michigan was up 26-23, and then just Rutgers just kind of fell off the wagon because they went 4 for 13 from 3-point land and 5 for 16 from free throws. They literally went 5 for 16 from free throws. So I like the over here. Game number 2, Michigan, Rutgers lean over. I think Michigan coming off back-to-back losses. I think Michigan coming off back-to-back losses. I think the 58-45 game last time, unlikely to be that kind of game this time. I like Rutgers to be an active dog. Rutgers likely won't go 5 for 13 or 5 for 16 from free throw land. I think this will be a higher scoring game as well. Remember, Michigan has produced, they put up 84 on Michigan State, and they put up 87 against Wisconsin in overtime. And then Rutgers rolls into this game, only scoring 53 points in their last game against Northwestern. So Rutgers only scored 53 points in their last game against Northwestern. I think they leave it out all on the court, like the over. Game number 3. By the way, I'm writing all the notes on the right-hand column, so you can read the notes in case you miss it as well. Hey, Dennis, good to see you. Vandy versus LSU. So Vanderbilt versus LSU. Let's see. First thing I thought about when I saw this game was the over. And it opened up at 144, went down to 141.5. 14 and 18 versus an 18 and 13 team. LSU actually beat this team by 7 points early this year. Vandy in the conference tournament last year, if I remember, LSU rolled in. See, LSU beat Georgia by 5, 72-67. They actually didn't play that bad to close out the year. They played Missouri close. I mean, they were 2-16 in conference play. They played Florida somewhat close. They beat Vandy, one of their 2 conference wins this year. The other one was Arkansas. It was the first conference game of the year. And I think Vanderbilt remembers that loss for sure because Vanderbilt was down 32-39 in that game. And they actually played pretty well in that game. They only had 8 turnovers, but the free throw difference was 23-27. The question is, what can Vandy do? I mean, Vandy beat Mississippi State. Mississippi State's a hard team to beat. They beat Kentucky. They beat Florida. They closed the year really strong. They closed the year 11-7 in conference play. I mean, what do you want them to do? They beat Tennessee. They beat Florida twice. After that loss to Alabama, 101-44, they just decided to bounce back and to really show a lot of pride. And and I think Alabama crushed LSU and Vanderbilt in back-to-back games, both those games. Yeah, I actually like Vanderbilt here. I know they're a public favorite, but I just think it's the brand name of LSU kind of did. I know the line is going backwards too, and maybe LSU steps up. I don't know. Interesting as a 142, it's probably going to be lower scoring. Why is the line going backwards? Vanderbilt's a top 180 defense. It's not like they're known for defense, but they did help Kentucky to 66 points. They held Florida to 72 points. What does LSU do well? LSU helped. Yeah, I can't fickle with the total here, so I'm going to go with lean on Vanderbilt. The team, you have to respect a team here who has revenge, who is a top 25 offense, who has revenge, who has a top 25 offense, who beat the likes of Florida twice this year, beat Mississippi State, beat Tennessee, beat Kentucky, beat Auburn. So, and if we're wrong, but we'll hang our hat on that. Beat Tennessee, Kentucky, and Auburn. Beat Mississippi State, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Auburn. Therefore, even though they are a public favorite, like Vanderbilt. All right, what was that? Was that game number 3? Yeah, game number 3. Moving on here. What do you think? Hey, Joe, good to see you. Game number 4. What do you think about Miami and Wake Forest? So game number 4, Miami and Wake Forest. Let's see. This game goes up at 12. Wake is only a 7.5-point dog. 19-13 team versus a 24-6 team. Miami is the 13th ranked team in the country. Miami drilled this team at 96-87 earlier this year. That game went way over the total. This total is sitting at 156.5, 157. Line opened up at it's 157.5. It's sitting around. It kind of went under a little bit. Interesting. I actually thought under when I first saw it, but then I thought, what if Wake Forest is an active dog? Steve Forbes' team won 25 games last year, don't forget. And but they didn't make it to the NCAA tournament. They won 19 games this year. They lost to Syracuse. That's a bad loss, but then they bounced back and beat Syracuse. I lost to Boston College. They facing Miami here. They did beat North Carolina to their credit. They did beat Duke to their credit. Miami rolls into this game having lost to beat Pittsburgh 70-76. They didn't play particularly well. They're not a particularly great defensive team. Miami last year, if you remember, went to the NCAA tournament and then lost to Kansas in the 4th round. When these two teams played last time, see, the funny thing is, I actually think Miami legitimately thinks they can win. Are they the 10th ranked team in the country? I mean, they're very, very. I mean, yeah. I mean, they're the 13th ranked team in the country, so they believe they can win the ACC here. They didn't have, you had Wake who shot 74% from a 2-point land last game. I don't see that happening. They had 19 turnovers that game. I actually think Miami is just going to be too tough for them. It's the opening round. I think Miami is going to be really difficult to beat here. I'd love to ride the underdog, but I don't think that's the right side here. Lean on Wake Forest. Lean on Miami. Wake Forest had to shoot 75% from 2-point land to lose by 10 points to Miami last time. I don't think that happens here. Miami legit thinks they can win the tourney this year with UNC and Duke sort of down. Miami is the 13th ranked team in the country. Played like blah against Pittsburgh in their last game, and I think they start out strong here. Lean Miami. Lean Miami. All right, moving on here. Game number 5. Hey, Ronald, good to see you. The Dayton game. So, the Dayton game, 16-16 team versus a 20-11 team. Dayton is won by 20 points last time, a total of 133.5. Now the total sits at around 136, 134. It's a lot of points here, to be honest with you. St. Joseph's rolls in, beating Loyola, beating George Washington. This is a team that played Houston earlier this year, so they're not necessarily afraid of anybody. They only won 11. They only won 11 games the previous year. In the previous year before that was 5 games and 6 games. But Billy Lang has done well. He's brought this team around. They beat Loyola Chicago. They beat George Washington. It's a team of still pretty young team. They played Dayton really earlier this year when they lost by 20. They're better now. But Dayton, of course, comes off a loss to St. Louis. But can Dayton really blow out teams? They beat LaSalle, certainly. They beat Richmond. The high line makes sense here. I can see them doing well. They're not going to take them lightly, that's for sure. But the line went down from 11 to 10.5. And what was the score last time? I can't give you a side. I don't feel good about giving you a side. The game went under last time to 76 to 56. Can this team be an active dog? Well, Dayton only put up 61 points in their last game. That's pretty low for them. St. Joseph's rolls in, putting up 87 and 72 against George Washington. This team did put up 64 against Villanova. Yeah, I like the over here. So, game number 5, Dayton and St. Joseph's. Lean on the over. Don't feel particularly anything strong on the side. However, St. Joseph's only put up 56 points or so earlier in the year when they faced St. Joseph is better now. They just dropped 87 points last game on both conference tourney games so far. They're a young team. Had won 5 and 6 games just 2 and 3 years ago. Just 2 and 3 years ago. Coach Billy Lang sort of is coming out. I like the over here. I think they can be an active dog. Dayton did not shoot well last game. Over makes sense. What was that? That was game number roll tide, Tim. That was game number 5. Lou, Michigan, Rutgers. I have a lean on one of the 5 games. Just scroll through here and you'll see Michigan and Rutgers on here. I believe the lean was on the over. It's our game number 2 that we researched for you. Good morning. Hey, Grant. Good to see you, man. Iowa, Ohio State. Thoughts? Yeah, so game number 6, Iowa, Ohio State. For Grant. So, Ohio State's a 4.5-point dog. It would make total sense that a team that is so sub 500 that barely won any conference games is going to do well. It makes no sense at all that they're a 4.5-point dog. Iowa's a 92 to 7. They won 92 to 75 last time, and Ohio State did beat them in one of their few conference wins this year. Ohio State beat them 93-77 as well. So they did split, and both those games went way over the posted total. Ohio State rolls in. They've won 5 conference games, but they've won 2 of their last 3. They beat Illinois. They beat Maryland. They barely lost to Michigan State on the road, and that was a game that they were in. They just got shell-shocked the first 10 minutes, but then they were okay. They started playing better against Penn State, and that's when it kind of was better for them. Still a top 25 offensive team at the end of the day. Still pretty young. Coach fighting for his job. Iowa rolls in losing to Nebraska. They did rout Indiana and Michigan State, so they're going to be mad. Frank McCaffrey's, is a mad coach half the time. So he's going to get them coached up. But I got to tell you, what was the last time? 153 and 154. What's the total sitting at now? 153 again. What does Ohio State do well? If the public is on Iowa, what does Ohio State do well? They play good defense, right? So they held Maryland to 62. Um, they held Illinois to 60. Um, mm, I like the under. I actually like Ohio State, but I just don't want to go against Iowa because they're coming off a loss and Coach McCaffrey. But I actually think Ohio State plays well. So lean on the under and lean on Ohio State. Both the first two games went over. I think this one goes under. Ohio State is much better on defense right now than earlier in the year. Iowa coming in off a loss to Nebraska will be furious. If I had to pick one or the other, I'd probably lean on Ohio State. I think the 4 points is useful. I think they are much better now than they were earlier this year. And a coach who is fighting to keep his job. Lean Ohio State. There you go. We're already past the 20-minute mark here. Probably can only do 7 games, so because I got to get our college basketball premium selections up shortly. But we'll do more of this. Don't worry, we'll do more of this. So 7 games is a lot of games too, anyway. Hey, Kentuf, the money guru, St. Louis and George Mason. Okay, so St. Louis and George Mason, and these other games. I'll try to hit on the daily video, which has to come out for you too. So St. Louis and Georgia Mason, 20-12, 20-11. This game goes off at 2:00. Last time these two met, St. Louis won 63-62 on a total of 143. St. Louis, of course, George Mason has a little bit of revenge coming in. St. Louis has won this game the last 4 times. The question is, can George Mason be a decent dog? George Mason beat Hofstra, beat Toledo, won 7 straight games coming in. They beat Richmond twice. They beat Fordham. They beat Dayton, which is a big win. They beat LaSalle. Top 90 defense, upperclassman team. Kim English's team won 14 games last year, bounced back quickly. Second-year coach with 20 games this year. St. Louis lost to Richmond, lost to Fordham. Yeah, they did beat Memphis. Yeah, I actually like George Mason here. I think that's the value is good. Sure, it bumped up to 6 points, but who cares? So, lean on George Mason. Kim English's team won 13 games last year and is a 20-game winner this year. He is in his second year. The team has come on strong. They have won 6 in a row. Very difficult to beat a team in back-to-back games, which they just did to Richmond. St. Louis has been suspect in St. Louis has been suspect in defense at times, giving up 81 to Richmond and 75 to Fordham. Defense at times, giving up 81 to Richmond and 75 to Fordham. Like George Mason, plus the points. All right. Wanted to do 20 minutes. Ended up doing 24. Let me check some other games that you guys want to talk about, and I will try to catch that on the daily video for you today. I'd never want to do more than 20, 25 minutes because nobody wants to listen to more than that. So, because a lot of people will be re-listening to this later. David, I will look into West Virginia, Kansas, Colorado, UCLA in the daily video. That'll kind of come out for you. Scott, got it. Cal State, Fullerton, Toledo. Do you think they can go over? I will talk about that in the daily video. Sandeep and Tony, what do you think about Toledo? A lot of people on the Toledo. Okay, I'll look into that. Where do you look up your stats? We have our own stats. We develop our own stats. A lot of the stuff is open sourced, but then we use the open source data to create our own data and our own algorithm. Golf picks, no golf picks. Not really doing golf. Thank you. I like Iowa State. Yep. What a role on YouTube Premium. Utah State, New Mexico. Yep. Going well on YouTube Premium. It's pretty awesome right now. Hopefully we'll continue to do it. How do I feel about VCU and Davidson? I'll have that in the daily video. And North Carolina money line. We'll talk about that. Pitt, Duke, Toledo game over. Thoughts on Rockets versus Red Hawks in 20 minutes. No thought on that. These 7 games were good. Silver Fox, yes, growing in the beard. Nice to catch a live show. I'm glad, Eddie. Michigan versus Rutgers. That game we've already talked to you about. It was on the over. Yeah, no worry, Lou. Premium has been on fire lately. Love you, Icy. Thank you, Liam. I appreciate it. Great deal on the Madness package for $199. Yes, $199 for the entire March Madness package. All right. That's about it. These other games, especially that Toledo game, I'll try to add on the daily video. I'll try my best. And yeah, we'll try to do this at least once a week. I think this is a good setup where everybody can watch the video, but YouTube Premium folks can comment. So those are your 7 games. Let me get this daily video out. Let me get our premium selection out for Doc Sports. That's due at 11:30 Eastern. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Indian Cav, working hard for you every single day.